You're still watching Newsday. The composition of President Bola Tinubu's cabinet of ministers is still being criticized for its glaring lack of adequate female representation. Less than a dozen of those who passed the Senate screening hurdle are women. And in the aftermath of the allotment of ministerial portfolios earlier this week, more questions have been raised than answers provided regarding the so-called 35% affirmative action. Joining us now to have a conversation is Heritage Sanmi-Lawal, founder and executive director, Her Dream Initiative. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right.
It's good to be here.
Okay, so when we delve into gender equality topics, first of all, I'd like you to go into that as an advocate. What is the most germane issue that resonates with you and why?
Okay, thank you so much once again for having me here. I think that with gender equality, it's quite broad, as everyone knows. Gender equality covers a range of issues. In Her Dream Initiative, for example, we are focused on shedding light on prevalence issues affecting women and girls. And then we also see that leadership plays a key factor, because women in leadership signifies that women will be considered in decision making. And that overall means that women would be treated better, even in rural communities. And that is not, what has been reflected so far. And gender equality is also talking about, the dignity of women and, just respecting that we are humans as well. And it doesn't need to be. I had a conversation with someone earlier today, and he was saying that, what happens when women and men become equal? So it means women would trample on men. And I laughed and I said, that's actually, what most people think, that when there's gender equality, women would be more pompous and we feel like we run the world and, make rash decisions and all that. But we've seen that women in leadership, they've shown excellent leadership so far. We've had, women leading in Europe. We've had women even in Africa, leading in Africa. And we've seen how amazing they've been, how much efforts and, passion they've put into their work. And this shows that there's no harm in having gender equality achieved as a goal. Okay. And that is what we fight for.
All right.
So I'd like to have your thoughts, on the number of women in the president's cabinet, on the ministerial list. I think we have just about 7 or 8 women, on the list. How does that make you feel?
Well, to be very honest, I wasn't surprised. Although I think there was an initial promise made that there were going to be more women and youths as well. So I wasn't surprised, but I was also, quite disappointed still, because I would always say that women deserve to, we need to be showing up in the room, and it's not being reflected. And we just think it's one of those things like, okay, women are not being in the room, but it plays down to how decisions will be made. It plays down to how equal, that's equality and how it even aids the society as a whole. So we are actually depriving Nigeria of fulfilling its maximum potential when we don't let women into the room. And so I was, disappointed, like I said before. And I really hope that even with that number we have, that we make impact and people see that we deserve to have more female ministers.
All right, Heritage, I'm going to take you up on this. There's nothing wrong with affirmative action and when it comes to the echoes of gender equality. But if we were to look 10 years ago and want to do a comparison regarding those that have served, in public office. Now, if I'm going to be a little bit specific, let's go into the Nigeria's House of Legislation, the Senate. There are quite a number of women that are being indicted for corrupt practices right now. Okay, their cases are still in court. And then when you take a look at it that, okay, this advocacy to have more women in, public office, and then you find scenarios such as this, and you think, okay, fine, this is an avenue to have a change from the norm. The men have had their say, and then we're having women, that are going through this same issues. So what's the difference then? Where are we?
Okay, I think the misinterpretation is that women are somehow expected to, cross an expectation or do better.
Oh, we're expecting too much here.
We're humans.
All right.
We're humans,
Okay.
and it's not saying women should be in the room is not saying that we are perfect and we are the best at leadership. It's just saying that if we are saying we're ruling a society or a society is growing as one, then we should have both coming together. We're not saying that maybe women will be less corrupt. Well, I hold a personal bias to that. I could start talking about that particular case, but I don't want to go into that. I think there's also that expectation that when women are in leadership, they are there to prove a point that they can do good and do better.
They're held to higher standards.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you so much for that.
But are they proving that point now? Even those that we have them right there in office. For us to be able to, okay, fine, yes, you've seen this view, oh, they're doing this, and how do I get that support to get more, females into office based on their records so far?
If you give me one woman that you say is being corrupt, I would tell you like 5 more that are doing excellent and have no record of corruption.
We can start from there.
Yeah.
Yes, good.
And so we have, for the novel example that we use is Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. And I know she was once in government, and I know how difficult it was for her. A lot of people don't really tell that story, but I think I came across one of her books, Women in Leadership, and she had different interviews with international women leaders and also shared her experience. And I was surprised, like, okay, you go through all this and we had no idea. We just saw you showing up every day and doing well, doing excellently well. And, so I would say for one woman that you would, say this woman is being corrupt, I can list 10, 15. I can speak of my mom. I can speak of people around me, women around me that I've just seen and been inspired by. So I certainly believe that women are being held by a certain standard. And I can't even tell what that standard is. That's the funny part. If someone tells us this is what the standard is, then that would have been, better.
All right.
Well, very well said. I could remind me to have a number of other very capable, prominent women we've had in the past. Linda Akinyoni, But anyway, before we let you go, I know you have worked with various organizations to curb gender-based violence, promote girl-child education. You're looking out for youth inclusiveness and so many other things. Can you tell us a bit more, about your Her Dream initiative, your organization?
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm here on the basis of being spotlighted as one of the 50 champions in Lagos for the SDGs, and that's by the Nigerian Youth SDG Network. So Her Dream initiative, we carry out a lot of research projects. We do outreaches as well to secondary schools, but the major focus we've had this year are just like three line of actions. And the first is SRHR and climate justice, because that's a prominent issue that we don't get to talk about. And we've been running collaborative projects with some international organizations. I'm also the youth advisor at Plan International Nigeria. So we have been working closely with them to come up with practical solutions. Another one is regarding economic abuse as a form of domestic violence. So in 2022, we actually published a directory of service providers, people you can call to get help in Lagos State and all other 36 states, including the FCT. And we published that directory last year. And this year, we decided to go a step further by exploring economic abuse, because it's also a form of domestic violence that people don't get to talk about again in Nigeria. The last one is definitely, the general issues, breast ironing, female genital mutilation, child marriage, period poverty as well. So yes, those are
quite a lot, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors regarding those issues. Heritage, Sanmi-Lawal, founder, Her Dream Initiative, I would like to thank you for coming to the show. It's good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.